The Ten Commandments is a 1956 American epic religious drama film produced, directed, and narrated by Cecil B. DeMille, shot in VistaVision, colored by Technicolor, and released by Paramount Pictures, based on the Bible's first 5 books and other sources. It dramatizes the story of the life of Moses, an adopted Egyptian prince who becomes the deliverer of his real brother, the enslaved Hebrews, and thereafter leads the Exodus to Mount Sinai, where he receives from God the Ten Commandments. The film stars Charlton Heston in the lead role, Yul Brynner as Ramses, Anne Baxter as Nefertiti, Edward G. Robinson as Dathan, Yvonne D. Carlos as Sephora, Deborah Paget as Lilia, John Derek as Joshua, and features Sir Cedric Hardwicke as Sethi. Okay. Nina Folk as Bithia, Martha Scott as Yoshabel, Judith Anderson as Mehmet, and Vincent Price as Baca, among others. First announced in 1952, The Ten Commandments is a remake of the prologue of DeMille's 1923 silent film of the same title. 4 screenwriters, 3 art directors, and 5 costume designers worked on the film. In 1954, it was filmed on location in Egypt, Mount Sinai, and the Sinai Peninsula, featuring one of the largest exterior sets ever created for a motion picture. I think anyone watching this film most likely knows the story of Moses at this point, so let's get into the pros and cons of the film. First, the film has high production values. Okay. The sets are good, the costumes look expensive, and the film has a large amount of extras. Okay. It makes the story of Moses come alive. The special effects were amazing for the time period. When I watched this film as a kid, the effects were incredible to me. All of the actors are solid, but Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, and Yul Brynner stand out among them. Okay. The film has some solid music and sound effects. This film was made in a time period where people loved masculine men and beautiful women. And I'm sorry, this movie has some very attractive women in it. I don't have a problem saying that I enjoy that. Okay, I know this modern day society. I guess you're not supposed to say you love beautiful women, but I do. Okay, and it's fine if women want to love muscular, handsome men, rugged, handsome men. Okay. Also, I love the color of the film. A lot of modern day movies look drab and colorless. Okay, that's fine in war films or some type of gritty police drama, but I don't want desaturated looking gospel films. I hate that when I watch these modern day gospel films, how like drab and dreary and colorless they look. Okay, the film does a fairly good job of following the Bible while basically doing its own thing at the same time. Okay, so basically, this is a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. Okay. I enjoyed it, and I think if you give it a chance, you will probably enjoy it as well. And like I said, I love the fact that this movie had a high production value. You can tell, even now, you can tell that this movie had a high production value. Just a large cast, like I said, in the sets. Because we got some gospel programs coming out where people are well-meaning, but you can just tell they didn't have the money to do it right. Okay, and a lot of these stories in the Bible, man, they're just so deep. They're just so deep and so interesting that really need a nice big size budget to do them justice. Okay. Now, let's get into the cons. Okay. The special effects were jaw dropping. Okay. When I watched this as a kid, it was like, wow. Oh man, the parting of the Red Sea, that shocked me at how awesome it was. Okay. I was mesmerized by that special effect. The fire rising up and writing on the stone tablets. I mean, that was like, whoa, dude, how did they do this? Okay. The pillar of fire and other effects, they were incredible back when I was a kid. Honestly, man, I didn't understand how they did those effects. I was mesmerized by those effects, man. They were just so great. But the thing is, those mind-boggling effects back then are subpar by today's standards. I imagine you could do better effects on a couple of Xbox Ones or a couple of PlayStation 4s. As a matter of fact, a few Xbox Ones or PlayStation 4s, no doubt, were more powerful than whatever computers they were using back then. Okay. Now, while Yul Brynner steals the show. Charleston Heston is his normal, charismatic self with that masculine build and powerful voice, okay? An actor who plays Dathan plays a role of a slimy backstabber far too well, in my opinion. Honestly, I kind of feel like that dude might have been doing some method acting, okay? Ann Baxter as Nefertiti does a very good job as well. Very attractive woman. The rest of the cast, however, don't really stand out that much to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Those four actors probably have the largest amount of parts, anyways, and they're the people who stand out the most. They're the ones who have more charisma. They're the ones who have screen presence. A lot of the other people in the movie just, I don't know, man. They weren't bad actors. They just didn't stand out that much, in my opinion. Okay, there are no bad actors in this film. It's just those four people are head and shoulders above the rest. Okay, I love this film to this day, but it's done in the style of older Hollywood films. Those films were much slower paced with more storyline and character development. Watching some of these older films may be a shock to people who are used to action scenes every, 5, 10 minutes. I went back and I watched the original Planet of the Apes, and I was like, wow, there's some scenes in that movie that really kind of drag to me now, okay? But I didn't see it that way back when I was a kid. That movie first came out. But if you're used to what we like to call these roller coaster rides now, you might have a problem with this movie because there are some very slow parts of this movie with people just sitting up there talking, just running their mouth. Okay, it didn't bother me, but somebody who's not used to watching movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s might be like, look, man, y'all, shut up, stop talking. Okay, punch somebody, shoot something, blow up something. Something happened. I need to see an action scene. So it don't really bother me, but it's something to be mindful of. If you really want more action-oriented movies, you might not care for the slow build up of this movie. Okay. Now, one other thing. Okay. Many modern day biblical films have been making an effort to hire more Middle Eastern actors. Okay. The Chosen has a number of Middle Eastern actors. I just got done watching The House of David. They have a lot of Middle Eastern actors there. I believe a number of them are Jewish. You're not getting that here. I think it might be one person who's Middle Eastern, okay? If that, in this movie. Most of them aren't, okay? Don't come to this movie thinking you're getting that, because back in the day, they didn't really care about that. So if you thinking you're going to get, The Chosen or House of David or one of these other movies, no, you ain't getting that, buddy. You got to take it or leave it, okay? While the film stays fairly close to the Bible, there's some extra biblical content. Dathan is not portrayed 100% accurate to how he is in the Bible. In the Bible, it says God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now, there are some debates as to how this was accomplished. Okay, some people said God did it directly to him. Some people said it's the presence of God that causes him to harden his heart, and the God is not directly doing it. I don't know. Okay. But now the movie has its own take on that. Okay. Um, the film suggests that God uses Nefertiti to goad Pharaoh into not letting the Hebrews go. The Bible does not claim that God used any such method on Pharaoh. So if you are a very, biblically accurate person, you might not care for that. Also, the love triangle between Moses, Ramsey, and Nefertiti is not in the Bible at all. Movies like The Ten Commandments and The Prince of Egypt have introduced the love triangle as a way to add dramatic tension and emotional complexity to the story. In these versions, Moses and Ramses are portrayed as rivals, and Nefertiti is often depicted as a figure that sparks their rivalry, particularly in the later film. It's also important to note that Nefertiti, the famous queen of Egypt, lived in the 14th century BC, long after the events described in the Exodus story. The Exodus is traditionally placed in the 13th century BC. For those Christians who hate deviation from the Bible, they will hate this film. Okay. Now, me personally, the rivalry between him and Ramses over Nefertiti, I kind of like that angle. I'm sorry, I know it's not biblically accurate. I kind of like it. I like it. I feel like it adds something to it. This is a movie, man, and I think people need to understand something. I know they get upset. Um, the movies are meant to inspire you to go out there and read the Bible. Okay, they do take some dramatic license. Okay, you may not like it. It didn't bother me. Okay, as a child, I used to read the Bible all the time, and I knew that that wasn't part of the biblical account. It didn't bother me because I was reading the Bible anyways. Okay, but some people will get upset about that. But it works very much in the film. It works very well in this film. Them butting heads over that woman works very well. Okay, but hey, I know in this modern day society, people have become to be very, more picky about their gospel films. And people have been complaining about the House of David making some slight changes. They've been complaining about The Chosen. Okay, any gospel film that comes out now is very much scrutinized by some Christians. Okay, no, oh no. This person's sandals were they're wearing green sandals. In the Bible they wore blue sandals. They not playing now, man. Back in the day when this movie came out, people weren't scrutinizing gospel films like that. They were just happy to have a gospel film. They didn't care that the Ten Commandments or this or King of Kings and some of these other movies weren't 100% biblically accurate. But if you're one of those people where it has to be 100% accurate, I hate it. It's from the devil. You're not gonna like this movie. Don't even waste your time, okay? Because you're gonna hate this. Then I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm definitely gonna be honest with you. Now, also, while the film does show some of the plagues, it just talks about the others taking place. Um, the ones that they showed was actually very well done. And in fact, probably was the best part of the film, in my opinion. As a kid watching those films, some of those plagues were very creepy. The one where all the firstborn died, that was creepy to me when I was a kid. That scared me a little bit. But some of them they just talk about. Okay, that was a bit. You know what? That's a bit of a letdown. Okay, but my guess is that it would have been financially prohibitive to attempt to show every plague using the technology of the time. Okay, I'm guessing they couldn't do it. Okay, in the biblical Exodus story, Pharaoh drowns along with his soldiers. In this film, he survives. Okay. Um, Again, if you are a person who wants it to be 100% accurate, you're gonna have a problem with that. I'm not gonna lie. In the movie, when he comes back and he's about to kill Nefertiti, and she says, "Hey, before you stab me, show me Moses' blood on your sword to mingle with my own." Then he goes and he sits down and he says, "His God is God." That was one of my favorite scenes in that movie. It's always been one of my favorite scenes. I know it's not accurate. I know he should have drowned in the sea with his soldiers. I'm sorry, I love that scene, but biblically accurate people who demand everything has to be 100% accurate to the Bible, you're not going to like this movie. You're going to be like, no, Pharaoh's supposed to have drowned. I don't want to see that. No, get this out of here. Okay. Now, Moses is shown passing over leadership to Aaron. Okay. I'm cool with that, but they skip a ton of biblical content. There's a lot of stuff, man, that gets cut out. It skips some of the more interesting stuff. Okay. Now, the movie is called The Ten Commandments, and you get that it's supposed to deal with that specific stuff. But, you should have, if that's the case, they didn't just end it once they left Egypt. They actually did show Moses giving over leadership to Aaron. So it's like, man, what about all this other stuff they skipped? I mean, of course I get it. The movie couldn't have been, the movie would have been 10 hours probably if they did that. But it did make me wonder, like, man, I would have loved to have seen some of the stuff they skipped. Them, God sending down food from heaven for them disobeying God, him saying, okay, all you people are not going to the promised land. All right. Anybody 20 years older and up, y'all can kick rocks. Because I'm tired of y'all being disobedient to me. Okay, some of the battles that they had. What's that dude? Baal Pure, where he was trying to curse them. Okay, one of the kings came and got him and was like, "Hey, I want you to curse them." It was it's a lot of interesting stuff that's not in this movie. But hey, it's fine. What's in here is fine. It just, man, I would love to see some of that other stuff. Okay. Now, one other little thing. It's a pet peeve of mine. You know, it's fascinating that the Israelites actually had slaves themselves. Okay, they had some form of slavery. I know some people have debated it where it was more indentured servitude. I don't know. Okay, their form of it actually had more protections than a lot of the people around them had. A lot of ancient societies did not have the amount of protections for slaves or indentured servants that they actually had. Okay, so that made them unique. Even then, you could see that God was working on them to change them slowly through a period of time. However, you would think that people who came from slavery wouldn't engage in that type of practice in any way, shape, or form. I mean, like I said, nothing to really do with the movie because that's actually not in the picture. I'm just going more by the Bible, but whatever. Anyways, all in all, I still enjoy this film and watch it from time to time. It's worth watching today. Some elements of it, such as the special effects, do not hold up to modern day standards. Okay, like I said, you had some effects in this movie that were jaw dropping back then. I think they even had some early green screen here. Yes, that's some early green screen effects that looked great back in the day. I mean, incredible. Okay, but now you probably could do, you could do something better on your PlayStation 4 or your Xbox One. Okay. Matter of fact, your Xbox One or PlayStation 4 was probably way more powerful than what computers they had doing those green screen effects back then. Okay. But this movie, some effects don't hold up. Some elements of it don't hold up, but it's still good for a watch. Just remember that some elements of it are dated. Okay, it's not 100% biblically accurate. I would say this is probably a movie that older fans who grew up with it are probably going to enjoy it more than a younger audience. Okay, they're probably some of the younger people are gonna look at these effects and be like, "Man, nah, dog," or they're gonna say this is too slow, or "Man, none of these people none of these people are Jewish. None of these people, come on, man, none of these people are Middle Eastern." Yeah, nah. Okay, this is probably something for an older person who grew up with this as a kid who will enjoy it. Yeah, but definitely, I mean, hey, give it a shot. Okay, maybe watch it with your kids or something, but it's definitely still worth a shot. Give it a try. You might enjoy it.